You have been praying for healing. You have been asking God to remove the sickness from your body. You have been crying out for relief from the disease that has stolen your peace and your strength, but nothing has changed. The symptoms remain, the condition persists, the healing you desperately seek seems always just out of reach. And you are beginning to wonder if God even hears your prayers, if healing is truly possible for you, if there is any hope left for your situation. But what if I told you that the problem is not with God, the problem is not with your worthiness. The problem is not that healing is unavailable to you. No, the problem is that you have been praying the wrong way. You have been approaching God with prayers that cannot work. You have been speaking words that actually keep your disease in place rather than driving it out. And today, right now, in the next few moments, you are going to learn the powerful prayers that actually work, the prayers that command sickness to leave. The prayers that have healed thousands of people from conditions doctors called incurable. The prayers that will transform your body and restore you to perfect, radiant, vibrant health starting this very moment. There is a power within you at this very moment that can drive out every sickness, every disease, every ailment that has taken residence in your body, and this power does not come from any pill, any surgery, any treatment of the outer world, but from the infinite healing presence of God that dwells in the deepest part of your being, waiting for you to call upon it, waiting for you to recognize it, waiting for you to release it through the mighty force of prayer into every cell, every organ, every tissue of your physical form. The sickness you are experiencing right now, whatever name the doctors have given it, whatever fears it has awakened in your heart, whatever limitations it has placed upon your life, this sickness has no permanent power over you. It has no right to remain in your body. It has no authority to destroy your health, because there is a higher law, a spiritual law, a divine law that supersedes every condition of the physical world. And when you learn to activate this law through powerful prayer, you will witness healing miracles that will astonish you, that will fill you with gratitude, that will restore your faith in the goodness of God. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been diagnosed with a condition that the doctors called incurable, that she had been told to prepare for a life of suffering and limitation, that she had been given no hope by the medical profession, but she refused to accept this verdict as final. She refused to bow down to this diagnosis. She refused to give her power away to any condition of the flesh, and instead she turned within to the healing presence of God. She began to pray with conviction and faith. She began to declare the truth of her divine wholeness, and within a matter of weeks the symptoms began to fade, the condition began to reverse, the healing began to manifest in ways that her doctors could not explain and could not deny. This same power that healed this woman is available to you right now. It is not something you must earn or deserve. It is not something reserved for the holy or the righteous. It is your birthright as a child of the living God. It is the natural state of your being. It is the truth of who you really are beneath the appearance of sickness and disease. And when you pray with understanding, when you pray with conviction, when you pray knowing that the infinite healing intelligence of God is responding to your every word, you set into motion forces that will dissolve every ailment and restore you to perfect, radiant health. The prayers you speak against sickness and disease are not empty words floating into the void. They are not wishful thinking or desperate hope. They are creative forces of tremendous power that penetrate into the very fabric of your being, that communicate directly with the infinite intelligence that governs every function of your body, that command the cells of your flesh to return to their natural state of harmony, balance, and perfect health. When you understand the true nature of prayer, when you grasp the scientific spiritual principle behind every healing word you speak, you will never again doubt the power of your prayers. You will never again wonder if God is listening. You will never again feel helpless in the face of any disease, because you will know with absolute certainty that your prayers are heard, that your prayers are answered, that your prayers are even now working in the invisible realm to produce visible results in your body. The subconscious mind, that deeper part of you that controls every heartbeat, every breath, every cellular function, is always listening to the prayers you speak. It is always responding to the commands you give. It is always creating in your body the conditions that match the dominant thoughts and beliefs you hold in your mind. And this is why prayer is so powerful. This is why prayer can heal any disease, because when you pray with faith and feeling, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind a new pattern, a new blueprint, a new image of health and wholeness, that it must bring into manifestation. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had suffered from a painful condition for many years, that he had tried every treatment, every remedy, every cure that the world had to offer, but nothing had worked. Nothing had brought relief. Nothing had touched the root of his problem, until he learned to pray in a new way, until he learned to speak directly to the intelligence within his body, until he learned to command his cells to release the disease and accept the healing. And from that moment forward, his recovery began. His pain diminished day by day, his condition improved week by week, until he was completely healed, completely free. You have this same ability within you, you have this same power at your command, you have this same access to the healing presence of God, and the prayers you speak today against sickness and disease will begin working immediately to restore harmony to your body. Every disease that afflicts the human body, every sickness that causes suffering and pain, every ailment that limits your ability to live fully and joyfully has its origin not in the cells of your flesh but in the thoughts of your mind, in the beliefs you hold about yourself, in the fears you have allowed to take root in your consciousness. And this is the great secret that the healing masters have known throughout the ages. This is the key that unlocks the door to perfect health. This is the truth that sets you free from every bondage of the body. When you pray against sickness and disease, you are not merely asking God for a favor. You are not begging some distant deity to intervene on your behalf. You are activating a law. You are working a principle. You are using the creative power of your own mind in cooperation with the infinite intelligence of the universe to dissolve the mental patterns that have produced the physical condition and to establish new patterns of health, vitality, and wholeness. The power of your prayer lies not in the specific words you use, though words are important. It lies not in the posture of your body or the location of your prayer. It lies in the feeling behind the words, in the conviction that fills your heart, in the absolute faith that what you are declaring is already accomplished in the invisible realm and must therefore appear in the visible world of your experience. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had prayed for healing for many months without seeing any results, that she had grown discouraged and doubtful, that she had begun to wonder if God truly heard her prayers. And Dr. Joseph Murphy asked her how she prayed. Prayers filled with doubt? Prayers that focused on the disease rather than the healing? And he explained to her that she had been impressing upon her subconscious mind the very condition she wished to eliminate, that her prayers had been working against her rather than for her, and when she changed her approach, when she began to pray with thanksgiving for healing already received, when she began to feel the reality of health in her body, the condition that had resisted all her previous efforts dissolved quickly and completely, proving the power of prayer rightly understood. The sicknesses and diseases that appear in your body are not punishments from God. They are not evidence of divine displeasure. They are not curses that have been placed upon you for sins you have committed. No, they are simply the outworking of mental and emotional patterns that have taken root in your subconscious mind. They are the physical manifestation of thoughts and beliefs that are out of harmony with the truth of your divine nature. And when you understand this, when you truly grasp this liberating truth, you will realize that you are not a victim of disease, but a creator of your own experience, and you will begin to use the power of prayer to create a new experience of radiant, vibrant, perfect health. God wants you to be healthy. God created you to be whole. God placed within you all the intelligence, all the power, all the resources necessary to maintain your body in a state of perfect functioning. And when sickness appears, it is not the will of God being imposed upon you. It is a signal that something in your thinking has moved out of alignment with divine truth, and prayer is the means by which you restore that alignment. Prayer is the tool by which you reconnect with the healing flow of infinite life. Prayer is the practice by which you reclaim your birthright of health and wholeness. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had believed all his life that his sickness was a test from God, that he was meant to suffer, that enduring disease was somehow spiritually virtuous. And this belief had kept him bound to his condition for decades. But when he learned the truth, when he discovered that God is a God of health and not of sickness, of life and not of death, of wholeness and not of disease, he released this false belief. He changed his thinking. He began to pray powerful prayers declaring his divine right to perfect health. And the condition that had seemed permanent, that had seemed ordained by heaven, began to heal, began to fade, began to disappear, because he had removed the mental block that had been holding it in place and had opened himself to receive the healing that God had always wanted him to have. When you pray against sickness and disease in your body, you must pray with authority. You must pray with conviction. You must pray knowing that you are not asking for something that may or may not be granted, but declaring something that is already true in the mind of God and must therefore become true in your experience. The infinite healing presence within you responds to the commands of your conscious mind. It obeys the instructions you give it through your thoughts, your words, your feelings, your prayers, and when you speak to disease with authority, when you declare with absolute certainty that you are healed, you are setting into motion spiritual forces that will manifest your declaration in physical form. Jesus, the great healer, did not pray timid, uncertain prayers. He did not approach disease with fear and trembling. He did not beg God to maybe, possibly, perhaps consider granting healing if it was convenient. No, he spoke with authority. He commanded sickness to depart. He declared wholeness with absolute conviction, and the diseases obeyed. The ailments departed. The healing manifested instantly. And this same authority is available to you because the same God that worked through Jesus works through you. The same power that healed the sick in ancient times, the same spiritual laws that operated then operate now, unchanged and unchangeable. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had always prayed in a weak, pleading voice, that she had approached God as a beggar approaches a king, and her prayers had produced no results. But when she learned to pray with authority, when she learned to speak to her condition with command, when she learned to declare her healing with the certainty of one who knows the law and knows it must work, everything changed. Her body began to respond, her symptoms began to diminish, her health began to return, and she understood at last that powerful prayers are not timid requests, but bold declarations of spiritual truth, spoken with the authority of a child of God who knows their divine rights and claims them without apology. The words you speak in prayer have a power that goes far beyond what your conscious mind can comprehend. For every word you utter is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, and this subconscious mind does not argue with you. It does not ask whether your words are true or false. It simply accepts whatever you tell it and goes to work immediately to bring your words into physical manifestation in your body, your health, your life. This is why powerful prayers against sickness and disease must be spoken with care, with intention, with clear understanding of the creative force you are wielding. Because when you speak words of health, words of healing, words of wholeness, you are programming the intelligence within you to produce health, to create healing, to restore wholeness in every part of your being. The same power that beats your heart without your conscious effort, that digests your food without your conscious direction, that heals a cut on your finger without your conscious instruction, this same power is listening to your prayers, is responding to your commands, is shaping your physical experience according to the dominant words and thoughts you hold in your mind. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been speaking words of sickness for years without realizing it, that he had been saying things like, "I always get sick in the winter," that he had been declaring, "I have a weak immune system," that he had been affirming, "Every illness runs in my family and I will probably get it too," and these words had become prayers, these declarations had become commands. These statements had become instructions to his subconscious mind to create the very conditions he feared. But when he learned to change his words, when he began to speak powerful prayers of health and vitality and divine protection, his experience began to change, his body began to strengthen, his health began to improve, proving that the words we speak are constantly creating our physical reality. You must become aware of every word you speak about your body, every statement you make about your health, every declaration you utter about disease. Because all of these are prayers, all of these are instructions, all of these are seeds being planted in the garden of your subconscious mind, and you will harvest whatever you have planted. There is no sickness so severe, no disease so advanced, no condition so hopeless that it cannot be healed by the infinite power of God working through you in response to your powerful prayers. For the same intelligence that created your body from a single cell, that formed every organ, that designed every system, that orchestrated the miracle of your existence, this same intelligence can recreate, can restore, can regenerate any part of your body that has fallen into disease, and your prayer is the invitation. Your conviction is the doorway through which this healing power flows into manifestation. The doctors may have given you a frightening diagnosis. The medical reports may be filled with alarming numbers and ominous predictions. The professionals may have told you there is nothing more that can be done. But these are not the final word. These are not the ultimate truth. These are merely the assessment of the situation from a limited physical perspective that does not take into account the unlimited power of the God who dwells within you, the God who specializes in the impossible. The God who delights in confounding the wisdom of the world with miracles of healing that science cannot explain. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been given only months to live, that she had been told to get her affairs in order, that she had been advised to prepare for the end, but something within her refused to accept this verdict. Something within her knew that God had the final say. Something within her believed that prayer could do what medicine could not, and she began to pray powerful prayers. She began to declare her healing with conviction. She began to thank God for the wholeness that was manifesting in her body, and the months passed and the years passed, and she remained alive, remained healthy, remained a living testimony to the power of prayer, astonishing her doctors and inspiring all who heard her story. You have access to this same power, you have connection to this same source, you have the ability to pray the same powerful prayers and receive the same miraculous results. When sickness attacks your body, you must understand that you are engaged in a spiritual battle, a battle between the truth of your divine wholeness and the lie of disease, a battle between the reality of God's perfect creation, and prayer is your weapon in this battle. Prayer is your sword and shield. Prayer is the means by which you enforce your victory over every sickness, every disease, every ailment that dares to attack the temple of your body. You did not come into this world to be defeated by disease. You did not receive the gift of life only to have it stolen by sickness. You did not inherit the power of the infinite only to be overcome by conditions of the flesh. No, you came as a conqueror. You came as an overcomer. You came as a child of the Most High God with dominion over every circumstance of your physical existence. And when you pray with this understanding, when you pray knowing that victory is your birthright, you activate forces of healing that will drive out every invader and restore your body to perfect health. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been fighting a disease for many years, that he had grown weary of the battle, that he had almost given up hope of ever being well. But Dr. Joseph Murphy explained to him that he had been fighting in his own strength, that he had been struggling against the disease rather than standing on the victory that was already his in God, and when this man changed his approach, when he stopped fighting and started declaring victory, when he stopped struggling and started resting in the finished work of healing, when he stopped begging and started thanking, the disease that had resisted all his efforts suddenly began to yield, suddenly began to retreat, suddenly began to dissolve, and he understood at last that the battle belongs to the Lord. That victory is not something we achieve, but something we receive. That powerful prayers are not desperate cries for help, but confident declarations of triumph. Every cell in your body is listening to your prayers. Every organ is responding to your commands. Every system is adjusting itself according to the instructions you give, through your words, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. And when you understand this truth, when you grasp the reality that your body is a responsive, intelligent, obedient servant that will create whatever conditions you consistently impress upon it, you will begin to use the power of prayer with a new seriousness, a new intention, a new dedication to speaking only those words that produce health, vitality, and wholeness. Your body was designed for health. It was created for wholeness. It was built to heal itself of any disease when given the proper conditions. And those proper conditions are created by your mind, by your thoughts, by your prayers, which is why you must flood your consciousness with powerful declarations of healing, why you must saturate your mind with affirmations of perfect health, why you must speak to your body with authority and command it to function according to the divine pattern of wholeness that exists eternally in the mind of God. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been diagnosed with a condition affecting multiple organs, that her body seemed to be failing on many fronts, that she felt overwhelmed by the complexity of her disease. But he taught her that she did not need to understand the medical details, she did not need to know how each organ would be healed. She only needed to speak to the intelligence within her body, to give it the instruction to restore itself to perfect health, to trust that the infinite wisdom that created her body knew exactly how to repair it, and she followed this guidance. She prayed simple but powerful prayers, commanding her body to heal. and one by one the organs began to improve. One by one the systems began to normalize. One by one the symptoms began to disappear, until her doctors declared that they had never seen such a complete and unexpected recovery. The healing you seek is not far from you. It is not hidden in some distant place. It is not locked away in heaven waiting for some future time. No, the healing you seek is within you right now. It is present in every cell of your body. And your powerful prayers are the key that unlocks this healing, the switch that turns on this power, the invitation that releases this wholeness into full manifestation in your physical experience. God did not create you sick and then withhold the healing. God did not design you for disease and then refuse to cure you. God did not form you in weakness and then deny you strength. No, God created you whole. God designed you healthy. God formed you in perfect functioning. And sickness is simply a departure from your true nature, a temporary condition that can be reversed, an illusion that can be dissolved by the light of truth spoken through your powerful prayers. When you pray for healing, you are not trying to convince a reluctant God to help you. You are not attempting to overcome divine resistance. You are not struggling to earn something that is being withheld. No, you are simply aligning yourself with what is already true. You are accepting what has already been given. You are receiving what has always been yours. And this is why powerful prayers work. This is why healing comes to those who pray with faith. This is why diseases that seemed permanent suddenly vanish when the right prayers are spoken with the right understanding. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had spent years feeling unworthy of healing, feeling that his sickness was somehow deserved, feeling that he had no right to ask God for health, and this feeling of unworthiness had blocked every prayer, had hindered every healing, had kept him bound to disease. But when he learned that healing is not earned but received, not deserved but given, he opened himself to the flow of divine health. He prayed with confidence for the first time. He expected healing as his birthright, and the healing came. The disease departed. The wholeness was restored. Because nothing had ever been blocking it except his own false sense of unworthiness. The moment you begin to pray powerful prayers against sickness and disease, something shifts in the invisible realm, something moves in the spiritual dimension, something responds in the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. And though you may not see immediate results with your physical eyes, though you may not feel instant changes in your body, the healing has already begun, the work is already underway, the transformation is already in progress, for prayer operates in the realm of cause while physical conditions exist in the realm of effect. And when you change the cause through prayer, the effect must follow. It has no choice, it is law. Your faith may be tested in the time between your prayer and its visible manifestation. You may be tempted to doubt. You may be tempted to give up. You may be tempted to believe that your prayers are not working. But this is precisely the time when you must stand firm, when you must hold to your declaration, when you must refuse to be moved by appearances because the healing you have claimed in prayer is making its way into physical form. And if you will maintain your faith, if you will keep speaking your powerful prayers, if you will refuse to accept the testimony of your senses over the testimony of your spirit, you will see the manifestation of complete and perfect healing. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had prayed for healing and felt worse the next day, that she had declared her wholeness and experienced more pain, that she seemed to be going backward instead of forward, and she asked him if her prayers were failing, but he explained to her that sometimes things appear to get worse before they get better, that the healing process can stir up symptoms as disease is being expelled, that darkness often increases just before the dawn, and he encouraged her to keep praying, to keep believing, to keep expecting her healing, and she did. And within a short time the symptoms that had intensified suddenly vanished, the condition that seemed to be worsening completely disappeared, and she was left in perfect health, grateful that she had not given up when the appearance suggested defeat. There is a prayer that never fails, a prayer that always produces results, a prayer that is guaranteed to bring healing to your body no matter what disease you are facing. And this prayer is the prayer of absolute trust in the goodness and power of God, the prayer that surrenders all fear, all doubt, all anxiety into the hands of the infinite, the prayer that says, "Not my will, but thy will be done," while simultaneously knowing that the will of God for you is always health, always wholeness, always abundant life. When you pray this prayer of complete surrender, you release the tension that blocks healing. You let go of the struggle that prevents recovery. You open yourself completely to the divine flow of life that knows exactly how to restore your body to perfect functioning. And healing happens naturally, easily, inevitably, because you are no longer getting in the way with your fears and doubts and limited understanding. This does not mean that you become passive in the face of disease. This does not mean that you stop praying powerful prayers or making declarations of health. No, it means that you pray from a place of peace rather than panic, that you declare from a place of confidence rather than desperation, that you trust the process even when you cannot see the progress, and this attitude of peaceful trust is the most fertile ground for healing miracles. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been praying frantically for healing, that he had been begging God day and night, that he had been crying out in desperation for relief, but his condition had not improved, and Dr. Joseph Murphy asked him if he truly believed that God wanted him well. And the man hesitated, and in that hesitation was revealed the problem, for he had been praying with his words but doubting with his heart. And when he learned to truly trust, when he came to rest in the absolute certainty of God's love, his prayers changed, his healing accelerated, his body responded, and he understood that trust is not passive resignation, but active faith in the goodness of God. The diseases that attack your body are not random events. They are not accidents of fate. They are not punishments from an angry God. They are messages from your deeper mind calling you to change something in your thinking, to release something in your emotions, to heal something in your consciousness. And when you understand this truth, when you approach disease as a teacher rather than an enemy, when you ask what lesson this condition has come to reveal, you open the door to a deeper level of healing that addresses not just the symptoms, but the root cause of your ailment. Every prayer you speak against sickness and disease in your body is more powerful when it is accompanied by a willingness to examine your own mind, to look honestly at the thoughts you have been thinking, the beliefs you have been holding, the emotions you have been suppressing, the fears you have been entertaining, for often disease is the physical expression of mental and emotional disharmony, and true healing requires addressing the whole person, body, mind, and spirit, not just the physical symptoms. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been healed of a serious disease through prayer, but within a year the disease returned, and she was confused and discouraged, wondering why her healing had not been permanent. And he explained to her that she had received healing of the body without healing of the mind, that she had eliminated the symptom without addressing the cause, that she had continued to think the same thoughts and feel the same feelings that had produced the disease in the first place. And now those thoughts and feelings had produced the disease again, and when she understood this, when she combined her prayers for physical healing with inner work to change her thinking, when she released the old patterns and established new ones, and this time it did not return, because the root had been removed along with the fruit. When you pray against sickness and disease, you must not see yourself as fighting against a powerful enemy. You must not picture disease as a mighty force that requires all your strength to overcome. No, you must see disease for what it truly is, a shadow, an illusion, a temporary disturbance that has no real power, no true substance, no permanent existence, and your prayers are simply the light that dissolves this shadow, the truth that exposes this illusion, the reality that corrects this temporary disturbance. The power of God within you is infinitely greater than any disease that could ever attack your body. The healing presence that dwells in your cells is stronger than any sickness that could ever take residence there. The life force that animates your being is more powerful than any death that could ever threaten you. And when you pray with this understanding, when you approach disease from this position of spiritual strength, when you speak to sickness from this place of divine authority, your prayers carry a power that no ailment can resist. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been diagnosed with a condition that filled him with terror, that he had become obsessed with his disease, that he thought about it constantly, worried about it continuously, feared it desperately, and his condition had grown worse and worse despite all treatment. And Dr. Joseph Murphy explained to him that his fear was feeding his disease, that his obsessive thoughts were strengthening his condition, that he was giving power to the very thing he wanted to overcome. And he taught this man to withdraw his attention from the disease, to stop thinking about it, to stop talking about it, to stop fearing it, and instead to focus all his mental energy on health, on wholeness, on the healing presence of God. And as this man followed these instructions, as he starved his disease of the attention it needed to survive, and fed his mind with thoughts of health, the condition began to weaken, began to shrink, began to disappear. until his body was completely restored. The infinite intelligence that created your body is the same intelligence that heals your body, and this intelligence is not separate from you, it is not outside of you, it is not far away in some distant heaven. No, it is within you, it is part of you, it is the very essence of your being. And when you pray for healing, you are not reaching out to something external, you are reaching in to something internal. You are connecting with the healer that has always lived in the center of your own being, waiting for you to call upon it, waiting for you to direct it, waiting for you to release it into action through your powerful prayers. This inner healer knows exactly what your body needs. It knows precisely how to restore every organ. It understands perfectly how to correct every imbalance, how to repair every damage, how to eliminate every disease. And your only task is to get out of its way, to stop interfering with your fears and doubts, to stop blocking it with your negative thoughts, to stop hindering it with your limiting beliefs, and to allow it through your prayers of faith and trust to do the work it was designed to do. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she did not know how to pray for healing, that she did not understand medical terminology, that she could not visualize the specific changes that needed to happen in her body, and he told her that she did not need to know any of this, that she did not need to understand anatomy or medicine, that she only needed to speak to the intelligence within her and trust it to know what to do, just as she did not need to understand digestion to eat a meal, just as she did not need to understand respiration to breathe, just as she did not need to understand cellular biology to heal a cut on her finger. She only needed to trust the process, to speak her prayer of healing, and to let the infinite wisdom within her do the rest. And when she prayed with this simple trust, this complete confidence in the healer within, her body responded, her condition improved, her disease was overcome, and she never again doubted the power of simple, trusting prayer. Every disease that exists in your body right now is being held in place by a belief in your mind, a thought pattern in your consciousness, an acceptance in your subconscious that this condition is real and powerful and permanent. And when you change that belief, when you replace that thought pattern, when you impress upon your subconscious a new acceptance of health and wholeness, the disease must go. It has no choice. It cannot remain where it is no longer believed in. It cannot stay where it is no longer accepted. It cannot continue where it is no longer given the mental food it needs to survive. Your powerful prayers against sickness and disease work by changing your beliefs at the deepest level of your being, by reprogramming your subconscious mind with new patterns of health, by replacing the mental images of disease with mental images of wholeness. And as these new beliefs take root, as these new patterns become established, as these new images become dominant in your consciousness, your body must conform, your cells must obey, your physical condition must reflect the new reality you have created in your mind. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had believed in his disease for so long that he could not imagine being without it, that his illness had become part of his identity, that he did not know who he would be if he were well, and Dr. Joseph Murphy recognized that this was the very belief keeping the man sick, that his attachment to his disease was preventing his healing, that his identification with his illness was blocking his recovery, and he helped this man to see himself differently, to imagine himself as healthy and whole, to create a new identity as a vibrant, well person. And as this new self-image took hold, as this new identity became real in his mind, the disease that had seemed so permanent, that had seemed so much a part of him, began to fade, began to release its hold, began to disappear, because there was no longer a belief to sustain it, no longer an identity to support it, no longer a mental pattern to maintain it. You must ask yourself what you believe about your disease, whether you have made it part of who you are, and if you have, you must use your powerful prayers to change these beliefs, to release this identity, to create a new image of yourself as completely and permanently healed. The prayers you speak before you fall asleep at night are among the most powerful prayers you can pray, for in the moments before sleep, your conscious mind relaxes its guard, your subconscious mind becomes highly receptive. The doorway between your waking awareness and your deeper intelligence opens wide. And whatever thoughts, whatever words, whatever images you hold in your mind as you drift into sleep will sink deeply into your subconscious and begin to manifest in your body, your health, your life. This is why you must never fall asleep thinking about your disease, worrying about your symptoms, fearing what tomorrow might bring, for these negative thoughts will be impressed upon your subconscious and will work throughout the night to perpetuate your condition. to strengthen your disease, to create more of what you fear. Instead, you must fill your mind with powerful prayers of healing. As you prepare for sleep, you must speak declarations of health and wholeness. You must imagine yourself perfectly well. You must feel the joy of complete recovery, and these positive impressions will sink into your subconscious and work throughout the night to heal your body, to restore your health, to manifest the wholeness you have declared. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had suffered from a painful condition that kept her awake at night, that she would lie in bed for hours focusing on her pain, thinking about her disease, worrying about her future, and her condition had grown steadily worse. But when she learned to use the moments before sleep for healing prayer, when she began to speak words of health and imagine herself whole despite the pain, when she fell asleep with gratitude for her healing rather than fear of her disease, her sleep improved, her pain diminished, her condition began to reverse, and she understood that the nighttime prayers had been working while she slept, healing her body, restoring her cells, manifesting the wholeness she had claimed. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, speak powerful prayers against every sickness in your body, and trust that these prayers will work through the night to bring you healing. There is a connection between forgiveness and healing that most people do not understand. A link between the bitterness you hold in your heart and the disease you experience in your body. A relationship between the resentments you refuse to release and the sicknesses that refuse to leave. And until you address this connection, until you deal with the unforgiveness that may be poisoning your system, your prayers for healing may be hindered, your recovery may be blocked, your wholeness may be delayed. Unforgiveness is like a toxic substance that you swallow, hoping it will harm someone else. It is a poison that damages your own body, while the person you refuse to forgive goes on with their life unaffected. It is a prison that you build for yourself while imagining that you are punishing another. And this toxic emotion can manifest as disease in your body, as inflammation in your organs, as dysfunction in your systems. And no amount of prayer will heal you completely until you are willing to forgive completely. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been praying for healing for years without success, that he had tried every spiritual technique, that he had spoken every prayer he could find, but his disease remained stubborn and resistant. And when Dr. Joseph Murphy asked him if there was anyone he had not forgiven, the man became quiet, and then he confessed that he held deep hatred for someone who had wronged him terribly, that he could never forgive this person, that this person did not deserve forgiveness. And Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that forgiveness is not about what the other person deserves, but about what your own health requires, that holding on to unforgiveness was like drinking poison and expecting another to die, that his disease would remain as long as his bitterness remained. And when this man finally chose to forgive, when he released the hatred from his heart, when he let go of the resentment that had been eating away at his soul, his body began to heal, his disease began to fade, his health began to return. And he understood at last the powerful connection between forgiveness and physical wholeness. When you speak powerful prayers against sickness and disease, you are not merely hoping for healing. You are not simply wishing for recovery. You are not just requesting that something good might happen. No, you are commanding, you are decreeing, you are speaking with the authority of one who knows the law and knows that the law must obey. For prayer is not begging. Prayer is not pleading. Prayer is the exercise of divine authority that has been given to you as a child of God. And when you pray with this understanding, your words carry a power that no disease can resist. The same God who spoke the universe into existence has given you the ability to speak health into your body. The same creative word that called forth light from darkness can call forth healing from sickness. The same power that formed mountains and seas and stars responds to the words you speak in faith. And when you declare with conviction that disease must leave your body, that sickness must depart, that health must be restored, you are using the same creative principle that God uses. You are exercising the same authority that God has delegated to you. You are participating in the same divine process by which all things are made. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she felt presumptuous praying with authority, that she felt arrogant, commanding disease to leave, that she was more comfortable begging God for help than speaking as though she had power, and he explained to her that it was not arrogance but obedience, that God had given her authority and expected her to use it, that failing to use her divine authority was not humility. And when she began to pray with the authority she had been given, when she commanded her disease to leave in the name of the God who lived within her, when she spoke healing into her body with conviction and power, The results astonished her. Her healing came quickly. Her recovery was complete, and she never again confused weakness with humility. The healing power of God is flowing through your body at this very moment. It is pulsing through your veins. It is moving through your organs. It is working in your cells, and your awareness of this power, your recognition of this presence, your acknowledgement of this reality, increases its effectiveness, multiplies its results, accelerates its manifestation in your physical experience. When you close your eyes and become still, when you turn your attention inward and quiet your mind, when you deliberately become aware of the life force that animates your being, you are opening yourself to receive more of this healing energy. You are expanding the channels through which it flows. You are removing the blocks that have been limiting its expression, and healing happens not through effort or struggle, but through awareness and acceptance. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he did not feel anything when he prayed, that he experienced no sensation of healing power, that he wondered if God was really present or if he was just talking to himself. And Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that feelings are not required for healing to occur, that the power works whether you feel it or not, that many people are healed without any conscious sensation of the process. But he also taught this man how to become more aware of the life within him, how to sense the energy flowing through his body, how to recognize the subtle movements of healing power, and as this man practiced this awareness, as he learned to tune in to the healing presence within, he began to feel what he had not felt before. He began to sense what had always been there but unnoticed. He began to experience the reality of God's healing power moving through his body, and this increased awareness accelerated his healing, strengthened his faith, and deepened his connection to the infinite source of all health and wholeness. You can develop this same awareness through practice, through prayer, through quiet attention to the life within you, and as your awareness grows, your healing will accelerate. When you pray for healing, you must see the end result from the beginning. You must hold in your mind a clear picture of yourself completely well, totally restored, perfectly healthy, and you must dwell upon this image with such conviction, with such certainty that it becomes more real to you than the disease you are currently experiencing. For your subconscious mind creates according to the images you hold. It manifests according to the pictures you impress upon it. And when the image of health is stronger than the image of sickness, healing must come. It is law. It cannot be otherwise. Many people pray for healing while still seeing themselves as sick. They ask for wholeness while still identifying as diseased. They request recovery while still picturing themselves bound to their condition. And these conflicting images cancel out their prayers. These contradictory pictures neutralize their faith. These opposing visions prevent the healing from manifesting, which is why you must discipline your imagination. You must take control of your mental pictures. You must refuse to entertain any image that contradicts the healing you have claimed in prayer. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been praying for healing but could not stop seeing herself in a wheelchair, could not stop imagining her future as an invalid, could not stop picturing her disease progressing and worsening. And he explained to her that these mental images were more powerful than her words, that her imagination was overriding her prayers, that she was creating with pictures what she was trying to destroy with words. And he taught her to change her mental images, to see herself walking freely, to imagine herself dancing with joy, to picture herself in perfect health, doing all the things she loved to do. And as she practiced this new way of imagining, as she held these pictures of health with conviction and feeling, her body began to conform to the images, her condition began to improve, her healing began to manifest, and she understood at last that prayer without proper imagination is like planting seeds and then digging them up. But prayer combined with vivid images of health is like planting seeds in fertile soil and watching them grow into a harvest of wholeness. The gratitude you express for your healing before it appears is one of the most powerful forces you can employ in your prayers against sickness and disease. For gratitude is the language of faith. Gratitude is the expression of certainty. Gratitude is the evidence that you truly believe your prayer has been answered. And when you thank God for healing while symptoms still remain, when you express appreciation for wholeness while disease still lingers, when you rejoice in recovery while sickness still manifests, you are demonstrating the highest form of faith and activating the most powerful form of prayer. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is wrong to what is right, from what you lack to what you have, from the disease that threatens you to the healing that is coming, and this shift of focus changes your vibration, changes your energy. changes the signal you are sending to your subconscious mind and to the infinite intelligence of the universe. And healing responds to this new signal. Healing flows toward this grateful heart. Healing manifests for this thankful soul. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he found it difficult to be grateful when he was in pain, that he could not express thanks when he was suffering, that gratitude seemed impossible when disease was ravaging his body. And Dr. Joseph Murphy acknowledged that this was indeed challenging, but he explained that this was precisely why gratitude was so powerful, because it required faith, because it demonstrated belief, because it showed the subconscious mind that you truly expected healing to come. And he encouraged this man to start small, to find something to be grateful for even in his condition, to thank God for the healing that was on its way even if he could not yet see it. And as this man practiced gratitude, as he trained himself to give thanks in all circumstances, as he expressed appreciation for his healing before it manifested, something shifted within him. His pain began to diminish, his condition began to improve, his healing began to accelerate, and he became a living testimony to the power of grateful prayer. Plotted continuation of chapter maintaining consistent style and depth. I need to continue with chapter 23, maintaining the same style and approximately 500 words. I'll focus on another aspect of healing prayer, perhaps the power of repetition in prayer, or the importance of persistence. There is a principle of repetition in prayer that you must understand if you wish to see permanent healing in your body, for the beliefs that have produced your disease did not form overnight. They were established through years of repeated thoughts, through countless affirmations of limitation, through continuous acceptance of sickness as normal and expected. And these deep-rooted beliefs will not be changed by a single prayer. They will not be transformed by an occasional declaration. They will require repeated, persistent, continuous prayer to uproot and replace with new beliefs of health and wholeness. This is why you must pray daily, not because God is slow to answer, not because healing is reluctant to come, but because your subconscious mind needs repetition to accept new programming. Your deep beliefs need consistent input to change. Your mental patterns need continuous reinforcement to transform, and each time you speak your powerful prayers against sickness and disease, you are driving the truth deeper. You are establishing health more firmly. You are building a foundation of wholeness that will eventually manifest in your body. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had prayed once for healing and nothing happened, that she had made her declaration and waited for results, that she had given up when the disease remained. And he explained to her that she had stopped too soon, that she had quit before the breakthrough, that she had abandoned her prayers just when they were beginning to work, for the subconscious mind often requires time and repetition to accept new ideas, especially when old beliefs are deeply entrenched. And he encouraged her to resume her prayers, to speak her declarations daily, to persist in her affirmations of health, no matter what appearances suggested. And she followed his advice. She prayed every day. She spoke her healing words morning and night. She persisted through weeks and months without visible change. And then suddenly the change came. Suddenly the healing manifested. Suddenly the disease that had seemed permanent began to dissolve. And she realized that all those prayers had been working invisibly, building up power, accumulating force, until they finally broke through into physical manifestation, and she was healed completely and permanently. When you pray against sickness and disease, you must address not only the physical symptoms but also the mental and emotional roots that feed them. For disease rarely exists in isolation. It is usually connected to patterns of thinking, habits of emotion, ways of responding to life that create an internal environment where sickness can thrive. And true healing, lasting healing, permanent healing requires addressing these roots along with the physical branches they have produced. Stress, worry, fear, anxiety, anger, resentment, guilt, shame. These emotional states create chemical reactions in your body. They produce hormones and substances that damage your cells. They weaken your immune system. They create inflammation and dysfunction. And if you heal the physical disease without addressing these emotional causes, the disease will often return, sometimes in the same form, sometimes in a different form. But the underlying disharmony will continue to express itself until it is healed at its source. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been healed of one condition only to develop another, that he seemed to move from disease to disease, that he was always fighting some ailment or another. And when Dr. Joseph Murphy explored this man's inner life, he discovered a pattern of chronic worry, a habit of constant anxiety, a tendency to live in fear of the future, and he explained that these emotional patterns were creating the conditions for disease, that the body was simply manifesting what the mind was producing. That true healing would require changing not just prayers but thought patterns, not just declarations but emotional habits. And as this man learned to release his worry, as he practiced living in peace and trust, as he transformed his anxious thoughts into thoughts of faith and confidence, his physical health stabilized, his diseases stopped appearing, his body became whole and remained whole, because the source had been healed along with the symptoms. You must examine your own emotional life as you pray for physical healing. You must be willing to change patterns that may be contributing to your condition. You must address the whole person if you want to experience whole healing. The healing presence of God does not know large diseases from small diseases. It does not distinguish between conditions doctors call serious and conditions they call minor. It does not find some ailments easier to heal than others, that spoke galaxies into existence, that formed the intricate complexity of your body from a single cell. Every disease is equally simple to heal. Every condition is equally easy to resolve. Every sickness is equally responsive to the healing word spoken in faith. You must not limit your prayers based on the medical prognosis you have received. You must not reduce your faith based on the statistics you have been given. You must not diminish your expectations based on what doctors say is possible, for doctors speak from the perspective of human knowledge and human limitation, while you are connected to infinite knowledge and unlimited power. And what is impossible for medicine is simple for God. What is incurable by human means is easily cured by divine means. What science says cannot happen happens every day through the power of prayer. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been diagnosed with a condition that medicine called terminal, that statistics said she had almost no chance of survival, that every doctor had confirmed that her case was hopeless, and she asked him if prayer could help even in such an extreme situation. And he assured her that to God there are no extreme situations, that what seems impossible to medicine is routine to the infinite, that the same power that raised the dead could certainly heal her body. And he encouraged her to pray without any reference to medical opinion, to believe without any limitation from statistics, to expect healing as though she had never received a negative diagnosis. And she did exactly this. She prayed with complete faith, she believed with total conviction, she expected her healing with absolute certainty, and the condition that medicine called terminal began to reverse, the disease that statistics said was fatal began to heal, the situation that doctors called hopeless became a testimony of hope, and she lived for many years in perfect health, a living proof that no disease is too great for the healing power of God. The prayers you speak against sickness and disease are not only for your own healing, but carry a power that can extend to those you love. For when you pray with faith for another person, when you hold them in your mind as whole and healthy, when you see them restored and vibrant and free from disease, you are sending healing energy in their direction. You are impressing their subconscious mind with images of wholeness. You are connecting them to the infinite healing presence that responds to all sincere prayer. You do not need the other person's permission to pray for them. You do not need them to know you are praying. You do not need them to believe as you believe. For prayer operates in the realm of mind and spirit, where all are connected, where the healing power of God can reach anyone anywhere instantly, and your prayers for another can be just as effective as your prayers for yourself. Sometimes even more effective because they are offered without the personal fear and anxiety that can hinder prayers for your own condition. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that his wife was gravely ill and had lost all hope of recovery, that she had given up on prayer, that she had resigned herself to her disease, and he asked if his prayers alone could help her. And Dr. Joseph Murphy assured him that his prayers could indeed reach his wife, that his faith could stand in for her lack of faith, that his vision of her wholeness could be impressed upon her subconscious mind even without her conscious cooperation. And he taught this man how to pray for his wife, how to see her in perfect health, how to feel the joy of her recovery, how to thank God for her healing as though it had already happened. And as this man prayed faithfully every day, as he held the image of his healthy wife in his mind, as he refused to accept the appearance of disease as final, his wife began to improve, her hope began to return, her body began to heal. And though she had not prayed for herself, his prayers had reached her, his faith had touched her, his love expressed through prayer had opened the door to her healing. Resolve to perpetuate narrative continuity seamlessly. Continuing with Chapter 27, maintaining the same style and format. When you are praying against sickness and disease in your body, you must guard your words carefully throughout the entire day. Not only during your formal prayer time, for every word you speak is a prayer, every statement you make is an affirmation, every declaration you utter is an instruction to your subconscious mind. And if you pray for healing in the morning and then spend the rest of the day talking about how sick you are, complaining about your symptoms, describing your disease in vivid detail to everyone who will listen, you are canceling out your prayers with your conversation. You are neutralizing your healing declarations with your casual speech. You are undermining your own recovery with the words of your mouth. The power of life and death is in the tongue, as the ancient wisdom teaches, and this is literally true when it comes to your health. For your words create, your words manifest, your words shape your physical reality, and you cannot speak sickness all day long and expect to experience health. You cannot describe your disease with energy and enthusiasm and expect it to leave. You cannot rehearse your symptoms to every friend and family member and expect those symptoms to disappear. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she prayed for healing every morning but spent her days on the telephone telling everyone about her condition, recounting every doctor visit, detailing every medication and side effect, and she wondered why her healing had not come. And he explained to her that her telephone conversations were more powerful than her morning prayers, that she was giving far more time and energy to describing her disease than to declaring her health, that her subconscious mind was receiving constant reinforcement of sickness and only brief moments of health, and he challenged her to change her speech, to stop talking about her disease, to refuse to describe her symptoms, to speak only words of health and healing no matter what anyone asked. And when she accepted this challenge, when she disciplined her tongue, when she made her daily conversation match her morning prayers, her healing began to manifest. Her symptoms began to fade. Her body began to respond to the consistent message of health she was now sending throughout every hour of the day. The healing you seek is not something that will happen someday in the future. It is not a distant possibility that may or may not arrive. It is not a hope for tomorrow or next week or next year. No, the healing you seek is happening now. It is manifesting in this present moment. It is working in your body as you listen to these words. For the eternal now is the only time that exists in the spiritual realm, the only time that matters to your subconscious mind, the only time in which creation occurs, and when you pray with the understanding that healing is now, wholeness is now, perfect health is now, you align yourself with the creative power of the present moment and experience results that surprise and delight you. Many people pray for healing as a future event. They speak of the day when they will be well. They hope for the time when their disease will be gone. They imagine a future condition of health, and by doing so they push their healing away from them. They keep it always in the future. They never allow it to arrive in the present. But when you change your prayers to present tense, when you declare I am healed rather than I will be healed, when you affirm I am whole rather than I will be whole, when you know that in this moment the healing power of God is restoring your body, you collapse the distance between prayer and manifestation. You bring your healing into the now. You experience the reality of divine wholeness in the present moment. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been praying for healing for years, always asking God to heal him someday, always hoping for future recovery, always waiting for healing to arrive, and his healing never came. It remained always in the future. But when he learned to pray in the present tense, when he began to declare that he was healed now, that wholeness was his now, that perfect health was manifesting now, something shifted. The waiting ended. The healing that had always been tomorrow suddenly became today. And his body responded to this new understanding. His condition improved rapidly. His recovery manifested in ways that years of future-focused prayer had never produced. As you continue to pray powerful prayers against sickness and disease in your body, you will begin to notice changes, sometimes dramatic and sudden, sometimes subtle and gradual. But changes will come, healings will manifest, improvements will appear, and when they do, you must respond with gratitude. You must acknowledge the progress. You must celebrate the victory. For every small improvement is evidence that your prayers are working. Every minor change is proof that healing is underway. Every slight betterment is confirmation that you are on the path to complete wholeness. Do not dismiss the small healings while waiting for the big one. Do not overlook the gradual improvements while hoping for the sudden miracle. Do not ignore the daily progress while expecting the overnight transformation, for healing often comes step by step, stage by stage, improvement by improvement, and each step must be recognized, each stage must be celebrated, each improvement must be greeted with thanksgiving. Because gratitude for partial healing opens the door to complete healing, appreciation for small progress leads to greater progress. Thanksgiving for what has been received creates space for more to be given. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been praying for complete healing of a serious condition, and while she had experienced some improvement, she was frustrated that she was not yet fully healed. She was impatient with the gradual nature of her recovery. She was disappointed that the complete transformation had not yet occurred, and he counseled her to change her attitude, to celebrate how far she had come, rather than complain about how far she had to go. To thank God for every improvement, no matter how small, to focus on the progress rather than the remaining symptoms. And when she adjusted her perspective, when she began to give thanks for partial healing, when she started celebrating every small victory, the pace of her healing accelerated, the improvements came more quickly, the complete healing she sought arrived sooner than expected because her gratitude had opened the channels for more healing to flow. You have now received powerful truths that can transform your health, restore your body, and eliminate every sickness and disease that has been troubling you. But knowledge alone is not enough. Understanding alone will not heal you. Information alone will not restore your wholeness. No, you must take what you have learned and apply it. You must speak the prayers. You must hold the images. You must change your words. You must transform your beliefs. You must actually do the things you now know to do, for it is the doers of the word who are blessed. It is those who apply the truth who experience the results. It is the ones who pray with faith and persistence who receive the healing they seek. The healing power of God is real. The prayers you speak are effective. The principles you have learned are true, and they will work for you just as they have worked for countless others who have applied them with faith and conviction. But you must make the decision to use them. You must commit to praying daily. You must determine to speak only words of health. You must resolve to hold images of wholeness. You must choose to believe in your healing even when symptoms remain. And if you will do these things, if you will apply these principles, if you will persist in your prayers no matter what appearances suggest, you will experience the healing you seek. You will see disease driven from your body. You will know the joy of perfect, radiant health. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had read many books on healing, that he had attended many lectures, that he had accumulated great knowledge about the power of prayer, but he had never actually applied what he knew. He had never changed his mental habits. He had never put into practice the truths he had learned, and therefore he had never experienced healing. But when he finally decided to stop merely learning and start doing, when he committed to praying powerful prayers every day, when he began to apply the principles he had known for years, his healing came rapidly, his body was restored completely, his health was renewed permanently, and he understood at last that the power was not in the knowing, but in the doing, not in the learning, but in the applying, not in the hearing, but in the acting. And his life was transformed because he finally became a doer of the word and not a hearer only. Now it is your turn. Now the choice is before you. Now the power is in your hands. And as you go forward from this moment, speaking powerful prayers against every sickness and disease in your body, knowing that the infinite healing presence of God is responding to your every word, trusting that wholeness is your divine birthright, expecting complete and permanent healing to manifest in your experience, you will discover for yourself that these prayers are true, these principles are real, this power is available, and you will live in the health and wholeness that God has always intended for you to enjoy.